Hi, everyone. So today we are in still in the power of awareness, Neville Goddard, that we all love, talking about the power of assumption. And I would like to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to jump right in. What I would like to do is take a couple of deep breaths together with you guys and to just calm down our nervous system. Because when we do so, we are more open to receive the knowledge and we push our ego a little bit out of the way. And by taking a couple of deep breaths, we will connect more with who we really are, with our true nature. And so let's do that together. I call this for myself the infinity breathing because I imagine that it is going like I breathe it in, I breathe out, and I take my heart as the middle point. So I go into my belly, I come to my heart, I go up, and it's like an infinity sign that this is how I breathe in and breathe out. So let's do a round of three. We're going to breathe in for 4 counts, and we're going to breathe out for 6 counts. So first breath and out and in and release and in again and release. And when you did it with me, you will feel that you are way more centered in your heart. That's where everything starts. And that you told your nervous system that you're safe, you're good. Our body is now in service of us, not the other way around, which is a state that I enjoy being in. So again, the power of assumption. And I read it a couple of times today, just in preparation to really embody what Neville is talking about. And I was amazed again that even though I read this so many times, because this is one of the books that I will take with me when I travel or even when I'm just on a subway of something, because you can just take one chapter and contemplate and just read it and over and over and over again. It's like an easy booklet to take with me. So I read it multiple times, but again today was my conception of it or my understanding is not the right, but the way it came in was again on a deeper level. So I hope that I can convey that and I can point you in that direction of really understanding the power of assumption. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. What a start. Man's chief delusion, the biggest delusion that you have, is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. This is non-duality in one phrase. Thinking that there is more than one is the biggest delusion. It's an like this is how you get away from your true nature by thinking that there is anything else than the state, your own state of consciousness. All that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. Wow, yes. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. And consents to. For me, that was the biggest eye opener of everything. no matter what is happening, you are consenting that. Like whatever is happening, you can say, "Oh, I don't want that." Oh, yes, you did, because otherwise it wouldn't show up in your reality. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. That's it. I can stop reading because this gives everything you need to know on how you create your dream life. That's it. That's all. You have to change your consciousness before you can change your other world. Rain falls as a result of change in the temperature in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So, in like manner, a change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. So, if something in your environment is changing, has nothing to do with your environment, you change that. So powerful. So powerful. On the other hand, it also gives you all the responsibility, which is very scary. Scary, 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 because now you know and you can't take it back. You know, you create your reality. So if you don't like your reality, put your hand on your head and look who's under there, because that's the one responsible for it. To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. Wow. All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. That is why sometimes people need to reach rock bottom, because that's where that desire is the biggest. Like, I'm done with it. I can't do this anymore. It needs to change. And that desire comes up. And that's usually what most people need to change. But of course, we all know it's like what Dr. Joe Dispenza said, why wait for that rock bottom? You can do it like freely, like you have free will. You can change it anytime. The first step is the renewing of the mind. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. You have to have that desire to change, or the desire for a different life, or the desire even for material stuff. Desire is the first step. You must want to be different before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this, and here we go, the famous Neville Goddard quote, by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. He doesn't say by assuming your wish fulfilled, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And I had a hard time with that, because you look at something, and I'm going to give the example of a car, and I that's really not a I don't like that example, to be honest, but it helps. So let's say you want a car. The desire is a new car. Now you have to assume the feeling of having the car. So now you look you're going to visualize, and you see the car, and you see the car, and you visualize the car, and I have the car, and I'm driving the car, and I love the car. The car is amazing. But that's not going to change anything. It's not going to move the needle. The only thing that you have to do is feel how you would feel if you have the car. Maybe you don't even have to see the car to feel how you would feel. You're extremely happy. So maybe the car, in my case, having that car is not gonna make me feel happy. But maybe I want the car, but if I really want to feel something, it's going to have to be an experience, like let's say with my grandchildren, or watching a sunset, or being on a bike ride in beautiful nature at the lake of Geneva, where I had like that was for me like an out of body experience on my bike, driving like on the hills, like at the Lake of Geneva, and watching the vineyards, and I'm like, oh my God, that was such an experience. That's the feeling that I want to feel all the time. The feeling of your wish fulfilled. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. So you have to feel like the feeling is the most important thing. How is that whatever you desire going to make you feel? In the car, it's like really a bad example. How are you going to feel if you have your dream job? How are your days going to be? You're going to be excited because you're going to do the job of your life. Like a car is so temporary. Maybe for some people it isn't, but for me, it's not doing it. Or you want to have a vacation. Like in my case, I love vacations with my children. That feeling is like, I can bring that feeling up pretty easy. So that's also why I have those vacations with my kids. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. And that's the truth. Like, I feel all the vacations with my kids in existence. I feel certain connections in existence. And I'm very good in that if it comes to people. If it comes to feeling a car and manifesting a car, it's harder for me, I have to be honest, because I don't know how that's gonna make me feel. It's not gonna be that exciting, you know? So, what I mean by that is that desire, I desire having vacations with my kids and seeing my grandchildren play together and having fun together. It makes me emotional just talking about that. That feeling is easy for me to bring. That's a huge desire that I have to really be with my kids and see them grow up and wanting the best for them. That's easy for me. So that's why the desire is the first step. Because the desire, if you have a real desire, it will give you a good feeling. And that feeling you can bring up. And then being in that feeling as if it's already done, it's not so difficult anymore. And it's inevitable. Inevitable. If I can give you a million is an exaggeration, but um, a lot of occasions where I could feel things into existence. And then there are other things that are, for me, much more a challenge, I will call it, because the desire is not really there, you know, like a car. Of course, I would like to have a good car, but it's not the same desire that I have for a car than that I have for a vacation with my kids. Okay. You have to make up um, your own stories. The ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it human parentage, I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but you got me. It is incapable of birth. The minute you have a desire, it is there. It is born. You cannot desire anything that's not for you. The desire comes like second in a way. It's always ready for incarnation. Therefore, your attitude should be one in which, having desired to express the higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater version of yourself. It's your job. It's your job to shift into the identity that has it already. In giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. This is a point that is truly understood by probably not more than one person in a million. Not sure if I understand it, but I have the desire to understand it, and I can feel it, how it feels when I understand it. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it. Whereas you can know a thing is spiritual only by becoming it. And this is what I try to explain with the car example and with the vacation with my kids example. It is easy for me to become the grandmother that I want to be. It's much easier for me than seeing myself driving in a car, like being the owner of a certain car. I give birth to that identity of being the grandmother that enjoys the vacations with my grandchildren and my children, by the way. I don't forget you guys. You can come too. You must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be the person. So, like, if you own a fancy car, you have to be the owner. You have to first be the owner of that fancy car. You have to become that. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame. And we have like a beautiful poem here. I'm going to try to read it properly. Who spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within till he became one color and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who ne'er to tell returned. It's a beautiful poem. Wow. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame, was willing to destroy himself, so must you becoming a person be willing to die to your present self. You have to let go. One of the most difficult things for me, that is letting go of the old. I write about that. I speak about that all the time. You cannot become the new without letting go the old. It has to die. And for me, it's very challenging. I'm getting better and better and better because I understand. But like, let's say 20 years ago, I would hold on to my limitations rather than becoming the identity that I needed to become. You must be conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure if you are to know what security is. Therefore, to incarnate a new and greater version of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be. And then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnated in the body of your life, in confidence that this new version or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. So you can only be what you desire to be if you let go of the old version, because the old version can never be what you desire to be, because then there would not be a desire, you would be it already. Think about this. This is what a lot of seekers are struggling with. When you are seeking, you cannot be the person that found it, because you identify as a seeker. You have to identify as somebody who found it. That's what happened. I'm sorry. That's what happened when I realized my true nature. It was, I had to let go of the seeker. And I loved the seeker. I was such a good seeker. I was the best seeker in the world. But I could only find my true nature by letting go of the seeker. Because, I'm going to read it again. Then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnated in the body of your life, in confidence that this new version, the one who found, or state of consciousness, will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be, that you found it. You are the founder, not the seeker. The finder? I don't even know if there's a word for that, but you got me. This is what wholeness means, what integrity means. They mean submission of the whole self to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, in certainty that that new state of consciousness is the renewing of mind which transforms. There is no order in nature corresponding to this willing submission of the self to the ideal beyond the self. Therefore, it is the height of folly to accept the incarnation of a new and greater concept of self to come about by natural evolutionary process. Not coming. Just have to be it. That which requires a state of consciousness to produce its effect obviously cannot be affected without such a state of consciousness. And it is your ability to assume the feeling of a greater life, to assume a new concept of yourself. You possess what the rest of nature does not possess: imagination, the instrument by which you create your world. So, if you want to recognize your true nature, you have to imagine that you did. Because that is going to create your world. Your imagination is the instrument, the means whereby your redemption from slavery, sickness, and poverty is effected. And we were talking here about recognizing your true nature, which is enlightenment. What a big word for just realizing who you really are. If you refuse to assume the responsibility of the incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means, the only means, whereby your redemption, that is, the attainment of your ideal, can be effected. So we are talking here about non-duality and recognizing your true nature, and stop being a seeker and already be the one that recognizes their true nature, being enlightened or whatever you want to call it. But it is for everything the same. If you want to become a successful business person, having a tremendous successful business, you need to become that successful business owner. You cannot stay in the identity that is not the successful business owner. You cannot put it on top of the old version of you. The old version of you needs to die. You need to imagine being the new version. There is no such thing as creating another reality from the old version of you. And it's in everything. It is with business, it is with relationship, it is with health, it is with enlightenment. It doesn't matter. You need to die in order to take on the new identity. And how do you do that? By assuming that you're already there and by imagination. And that is for a lot of people way too woo-woo, but it is the only way. Go and read about successful people. They will all have a moment that they understand that they have to become somebody else. You need to let go of your old coat. You have to take off the old coat and put on a new one. You cannot just put on a new coat over the old coat. It's not going to go well. You're never going to be the one that you need to be. However, oh, wait, I forgot one sentence. Imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe. What a statement. We as kids are taught not to imagine. You're a dreamer. Don't go there. Like, you know how many times people say you're daydreaming again? I let my imagination. I have a very vivid imagination. But my imagination was like cut off multiple times that people said, just be realistic. It's never gonna happen. Did people say that to you? And then you didn't want to imagine anymore? Imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe. What's that for a statement? Wow. So next time, when you talk to your children, your grandchildren, and they have an enormous amount of imagination, don't say, that's impossible. Please let these kids dream. Yeah. Let them have an unbelievable imagination because it's the only redemptive power in the universe. Let them be, let them imagine everything. However, your nature is such that it is optional to you whether you remain in your present concept of yourself, a hungry being longing for freedom, health, and security, or choose to become the instrument of your own redemption, imagining yourself as that which you want to be, and thereby satisfying your hunger of redeeming yourself. Let's go back to the non-duality, to the recognizing your true nature. You have to let go of the concept of being the seeker. Let it go. You found it. There you are. New identity. Recognize your true nature. You know who you are. One consciousness. That's all there is. And then I wouldn't say fake it till you make it, but imagine it. So many people have such a hard time with that, me included. That's why I know. I had such a hard time with that. And then we have another poem. I'm gonna read it. Oh, be strong then, and brave, pure, patient, and true. The work that is yours, let no other hand do. For the strength for all need is faithfully given from the fountain within, you, the kingdom of heaven. I always say heaven is a place on earth, and it truly is. I think this is, again, what a chapter. It's only 4 pages, but it is so, so deep. So we were talking about desire, how desire is the first thing. Guess what? Next time we're going to talk about desire. I can't wait because tomorrow that's going to be my reading. It's shorter than even that we had today. I am so grateful to Martin that brought this up and that made me now do this series. And I'm going to read all the chapters, I promise you. Maybe not every day because life happens, but I'll do the best I can. And again, if you want to work with me, just send me an email and I really enjoy working with people that are ready to recognize their true nature, to become the one that found, not the seeker anymore. If you're done with being the seeker, you want to change your identity, just send me an email and we'll figure something out. Love to point you in that direction. Because when you are still here watching me saying these words, you're ready, my friend. You're ready. You are ready. It is there. You already know who you are. You do. All right. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Bye for now.